Classic Game Room is brought to you by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Book 1, and Jesus the Coked Up Chicken #1, Special Edition, now on Amazon.
Back Classic Game Room on Patreon!
Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. In time. What's the time? It's time for Ratchet and Clank and Ratchet in Ratchet and Clank Future A Crack in time from 2009 for the PlayStation 3. I really miss this era of video games. I feel like it's already long gone.
Max? Yeah, this is General Azimuth. He's been helping me look for you.
The storyline-driven, charismatic, colorful adventure game genre has just been replaced with never-ending MMORPG, basically. And that's a shame because the Ratchet and Clank games have a lot of personality. They were a lot of fun, had high production values, good acting, great environments, good adventure, and I imagine they were extremely expensive to produce and probably didn't make the numbers that were needed. Now, eventually, Ratchet and Clank went on to star in their own movie, which I believe flopped, even though it wasn't that bad. It was alright.
Optical drive. This is senior personnel. I'm with XJ047.
If it's not popular, it's not popular. If it's not Minecraft or whatever's popular, just forget it. And that's, sadly, the way a lot of these awesome franchises have gone, including Ratchet and Clank, who has only appeared in one PlayStation 4 adventure, and it's nowhere near as good as this one.
From time to time.
On the plus side, you can pick up Ratchet and Clank Future, A Crack in Time, and pretty much all the other Ratchet and Clank games for next to nothing these days, and you should because they're great games, likable characters, and this might be one of the best Ratchet and Clank games. I mean, they're all pretty good, but I like the whole clock thing they've got going on with this game. There's basically a giant clock that controls time in the universe, and of course there's hijinks and lots of action and loads of weapons to collect, and the formula really hasn't changed much. It's more of the same, but more of the same is great when it's Ratchet and Clank. I feel like it was always a good formula from the beginning. And I think this game just nails it in pretty much every way. It's an interesting plot. It's a bit confusing at times, but these games are supposed to be fun and ridiculous. I love the time manipulation thing, and even the puzzles. I hate puzzles. Even the puzzles are pretty good in Ratchet and Clank A Crack in Time.
If you find yourself overwhelmed by enemies, the Groovatron is the perfect tool for tipping the scales back in your favor. Simply throw one into a large crowd. The Groovatron will emit a mesmerizing tune, which triggers fits of uncontrollable dancing. This will give you extra time to replenish your ammo, make your escape, or deliver a crushing blow to your would-be dispatch.
And nearly 10 years after this game's release, it still looks great today.
Temporal recording initiated.
This has a visual style that frankly has just aged really well. This is a massive game, and I've had a blast playing through it. It's taken me weeks, but I've really enjoyed playing through the entire thing and just going to visiting all like the different moons and stuff. You fly around and collect the Zoni, and you level up your spaceship. But ultimately, Ratchet and Clank A Crack in Time, I guess technically Ratchet and Clank Future A Crack in Time, has made me sad. It's made me sad because this is one of the last Ratchet and Clank games that I have to play. There's only a handful I haven't played or reviewed yet.
Magistrate of the Lombax Praetorian Guard, Elder Councilman for the Center for Advanced Lombax Research, and you.
And it's also made me sad because I feel like these games just aren't in vogue anymore, so we're unlikely to get a lot of like really ambitious ones. I remember the era back in 2009 or so when people were screaming for more multiplayer. But now, at least I'm screaming for more good single-player adventures. And frankly, this game just gets it right. It's really good. And I know there's still plenty of games coming out with single-player adventures, like the Gravity Rush games are just terrific, but I kind of miss these likable, like, early 2000s games. You know, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter. Even God of War, although not quite as cheerful as some of the other ones. I think basically what I'm saying is that I have nostalgic feelings towards the PlayStation 2 era, which is true. And that spilled into the PlayStation 3 era with games like this. And while there was another Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 4, I feel like it wasn't quite as ambitious. Probably had some budget cuts. In any event, enough retrospective, heartfelt moping. Let's get back to shooting things in Ratchet and Clank, which has always had an obsession with outlandish weapons. That's really one of the game's most redeeming qualities, because it's delightful. The wide variety of silly, death-bringing destruction that you can deliver to your enemies as you just run around, lock onto them, shoot them, launch missiles, launch saw blades, freeze them, hit them with a disco ball. Electrocution, fire, you've got it all here. And it's fun, and it plays well, the controls are great. It's kind of like one of the Lego games, except more violent, maybe. There's no shortage of Lego games, as much as I like those. That's what we get now, instead of the big budget Ratchet and Clank games. I think the problem here is that this is clearly an expensive game, and it shows. Once again, though, if you're collecting these days, for the PlayStation 3, which is like a great value right now as I'm recording this in 2017, running from Space Bees, the PS3 stuff is super cheap.
My senses are detecting an
Just get all the Ratchet and Clank games. Start at the beginning and play them all.
Don't worry, you're sitting this one out.
I don't think there's a bad one. Oh, there is a bad one. That's right. I keep forgetting it. I've blocked it from my mind. Oh no, it's back. I've remembered. Ratchet and Clank. A dinner time discussion with Jar Jar. Just avoid that one at all costs. It's horrible. You should know the formula. You level up, you collect weapons, you buy new armor, you explore new worlds, and the game gives you many reasons to go back and explore worlds that you've already explored once you've collected different boots and different things, of course. You can go back in time occasionally. I'm just lavishing it with praise, but that's what it deserves.
You enjoy working for Dr. Nefarious.
Why could Mr. Zircon not shoot
If I was down to my last piece of gum, and Dr. Nefarious asked for it, I would give him the gum.
Alright, developers, if you're still listening, if you're still making these games after the movie bombed, how about this? Instead of just a Ratchet and Clank game, how about Mr. Zircon? Give him his own series of games. I guarantee it'll make dozens of dollars. This may be the peak of the Ratchet and Clank series. I don't know, it's hard to say. There were a lot of great Ratchet and Clank games, and the PS3 collection is also really good. I haven't played Into the Nexus yet, and All for One really doesn't count.
Sir, I'm pulling up a residual image from his database. We scanned it before he...
In any event, I highly recommend Ratchet and Clank Future A Crack in Time. It's a delightful, family-friendly action game that packs hours of fun exploration. Wonderful gameplay. I love the art design, the controls, the music, the acting, the dialogue. It's just brilliant. Think about it though, Sony. Come on. Mr. Zircon in his own series just for me. Just make it for me.
Mr. Zircon is here to kill. Woo!
Zircon the Destroyer. Your mechanical bodyguard now comes with an explosive fusion cannon and rapid-fire capabilities.
Classic Game Room has been brought to you by How to Make a Video Game Review Show That Doesn't Suck, Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, and Jesus, the Coked Up Chicken, on Amazon.
Welcome to the Lord Carnage Club, being shouted from within. A turbo volcano! Starting with Billy and Andy Schleiss. Derek Langley. Michael and Ariana Nelson. Steven Chucknick. Al Stever. Jason Goy. Sergio Matthias Hergert. Sean Zoltek. Rick DeBarros. Philip Strabenmuller. Jack Stavris. Ohad Kane. And Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal. Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal.